Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Liu. Today we'll begin to introduce a new topic, thrombosis. These are the learning objectives. At the end of this session, you should be able to define and use thrombosis in a proper context, analyze pathogenesis of thrombosis, describe the morphologic appearance and components of a thrombus, and state the consequences of thrombosis. Thrombosis is the formation of a blood clot in the vascular system during life. In this definition, we should emphasize three key points. The first is that the blood clot is formed during life, which should be distinguished from postmortem state. The second important term is clot, which is a visible blood component, and we call it a thrombus. The third point is the site of the blood clot, which in the vascular system including the cardiac chamber and blood vessel. Normal hemostasis involves a series of processes that maintain blood in a fluid that is clot-free state in normal vessels. At the same time, normal hemostasis can induce rapid formation of a localized plaque at the site of vascular injury to stop bleeding. The fibrinolytic system plays a crucial role in the maintenance of the blood in a fluid state and flowing normally. If the balance is disturbed, thrombosis occurs. In clinical practice, venous thrombosis is more common than arterial thrombosis. Here is a question for you to think about. Why is thrombosis more common in veins than in arteries? I hope you will be able to answer the question after we complete this session. There are three primary influences on thrombus formation. The first one, endothelial injury. The second, stasis or turbulence of blood flow. And third, blood hypercoagulability. This was proposed by the pathologist Virchow and is called Virchow's triad. Among them, endothelial injury is most important. Endothelial cells inhibit blood clotting by having antiplatelet, anticoagulant, and fibrinolytic properties. When they are injured or become activated, they can initiate blood clotting. So conditions that cause endothelial cell injuries are often associated with thrombosis. Atherosclerosis, myocardial infarction, cardiac surgery, and inflammatory or immunologic changes are some of the conditions leading to endothelial injury. The mechanisms of coagulation after endothelial injury is complicated. Here, we will summarize the two most important processes. One is the activation of platelets, and the other is local activation of the coagulation cascade. After initial injury, there is a brief period of arteriolar vasoconstriction. The effect is transient, and bleeding would resume were it not for activation of the platelet and coagulation systems. Endothelial injury allows platelets to adhere and be activated. Platelets adhere to exposed extracellular matrix by binding to one-wheeling blood factors and are activated, undergoing a shape change and granular release. The release of adenosine diphosphate and thromboxane A2 leads to further platelet aggregation. to form the primary hemostatic plaque. The primary hemostatic plaque is not formed. It is easily dispersed by blood flow. This brings us to the second important process of coagulation, the local activation of the coagulation cascade, which leads to thrombin production and fibrin polymerization. Activation of blood coagulation involves both the intrinsic and extrinsic pathways. The intrinsic pathway is initiated by collagen activation of factor 12. The extrinsic coagulation pathway is initiated by tissue factor. Fibrin polymerization cements the platelets into a definitive secondary hemostatic plaque. Counter-regulatory mechanisms such as the release of TPA and thrombomodulin limit the hemostatic process only to the site of injury. Now, let's make a summary about the mechanisms of coagulation after endothelial injury. Let's say it together. First, there is endothelial injury, exposing collagen at the site of injury. Second, reaction and adhesion of platelets to exposed collagen is followed by secretion and aggregation of platelets. Third, activation of blood coagulation through the intrinsic and extrinsic pathways produces thrombin. The primary hemostatic plaque is stabilized by thrombin to form the final thrombus. The second etiology for thrombosis is stasis or turbulence of blood flow. Normal blood flow is laminar. All the formed blood elements, blood cells, and platelets move in the central stream. Blood plasma is found in the periphery of the blood stream, adjacent to the endothelial cell layer, and moves more slowly. Under normal conditions, blood plasma prevents the platelets to be in contact with the endothelial cells. Stasis and turbulence increase concentration of local coagulation factors and thrombin due to decreased dilution by fresh blood flow and hepatic clearance of activated coagulation factors. It can disrupt laminar flow and allow blood platelets to come into contact with the endothelial cells, increasing the chances of platelet activation. Moreover, relative hypoxia and turbulence lead to endothelial injury. The third etiology for thrombosis is blood hypercoagulability. Inherited causes of hypercoagulability include mutation in the factor V gene or prothrombin gene. When an important antithrombotic counter-regulatory mechanism is lost, hypercoagulability ensues. Acquired hypercoagulability can be the result of different factors. Pregnancy, hyperlipidemia, and smoking can increase platelet concentration. Surgery, severe trauma, and extensive burns can lead to hemoconcentration. Advanced malignant neoplasm can release coagulation factors. Patients with DIC have more coagulation factors and tissue factors. All these will create hypercoagulable states. Now, could you answer the question, why is thrombosis more common in veins than in arteries? Well, it is merely related to the structure of veins. First, there are valves in the vein. The blood flow in the valve capsule is slow and turbulence may develop, which often initiate a thrombus formation. Second, veins don't pulsate, and the blood flow can stop temporarily. Third, the wall of the veins is thin and easy to be compressed. Finally, blood viscosity in the vein increases after passing through the capillaries. Now, let's summarize pathogenesis of thrombosis. Pathogenesis of thrombosis includes endothelial injury, abnormal blood flow, and hypercoagulability. Injury of endothelium is the most important factor. These factors may act independently or may combine to promote thrombus formation. This is the first part of thrombosis. Next time, we will discuss morphological appearance and components of a thrombus and its consequences. Here are the references. Thank you.